Rahul Gandhi's recent piece where he penned his views on Hinduism. What do you make of it?
See, actually, he doesn't seem to have read much about how Hinduism, Hindutva, Sanatana Dharma has been expounded by Swami Vivekananda or Aurobindo. It is too much for me to expect him to have read those great minds. Rahul Gandhi spoke about Sanatana Dharma, which is a territory free. But Sanatana Dharma is the idea of India. To come very quickly to what Sanatana Dharma means, that the Prime Minister said, one earth, one family, and therefore one future. Isavasya Upanishad says, Isavasyam idam sarvam yatkinjat jagadyam jagat tena taktena punjidaha mahagrita kasya suddhanam.
And point number two, why is Rahul Gandhi writing this article now?
The DNA has this element. Jawaharlal Nehru, when he opened his mouth as the independent Prime Minister of India, he said that Muslim communalism is aggressive, but Hindu communalism is dangerous.
देखिए सनातन धर्म is the backbone of our country. Our country is believing in Sanatan Dharma since ages. We have given this particular knowledge worldwide to everyone. These particular parties, including Congress, DMK, everyone, they have been anti-Hindus. Whatever they say that they may portray themselves to be secular. तो अभी अचानक से ऐसे क्या हुआ कि इनको इतना डर लगने लगा है कि अब वो सनातन धर्म के खिलाफ इतना खुल के बात करने लगे.
A. Raja and Udaynidhi Stalin to both that had India remembered the 9/11 message of Vivekanand. Swami Vivekanand's 9/11 message of Bhagwa Chola had gone to United States, and today, after 130 years of that, India gave that message, Swasti Astu Vishwa, or it gives the message of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, except this 9/11 that India gave in the form of Swami Vivekanand. With that, Gurumurthy ji, your final comments. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on Bharat Ka podcast, a podcast that will have several conversations revolving around issues of Bharat. And joining me in this endeavor will be intellectually stimulating guests and very special friends of mine, two very special friends of mine. One is, of course, somebody you all know from Twitter and X as Mumbai Cha Don, Bhiku Matre, for the first time casting away his guarded Twitter personality is Professor Vineet Nayak, a professor of finance from Mumbai and a thorough nationalist joining us on this podcast journey. And also along with him is Sandeep Mishra, a person who is an expert in digital innovation and strategy, but a committed nationalist. And Sandeep has also been recognized as a United Nations mastermind of 2022. And of course, yours truly, Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP. Today, what are we going to discuss on Bharat Ka podcast? The issue that everybody is talking about, Sanatan Dharma. For the last few weeks and months, Sanatan Dharma has been in the center of a controversy thanks to the India Alliance. A spate of attacks that have been launched on Sanatan Dharma and on Hinduism by leaders of the India Alliance. Very recently, Rahul Gandhi has also penned a piece on Hinduism. And this entire debate has now culminated into a larger conversation. Is this, as many people put it, the last 8 to 9 years, the rise of the unapologetic Sanatani, unapologetic Hindu? Or is it, as the pseudo secularists would have us believe, the rise of militant Hindutva? What is the truth? Is this the best period of Sanatan revival and Sanatan civilizational espousal in the last 9 years that we've seen? To discuss this and many more aspects about this, we have somebody who needs no introduction. S.Gurumurthy ji, the editor of the very well-known Tamil periodical, the weekly Tughlaq, and somebody who is an unabashed ideologue of Sanatan Parampara. Thank you, Gurumurthy ji, for gracing our first podcast with your presence. Gurumurthy ji, I want to get into it right away, straight away. And if we could all four be on the screen. Gurumurthy ji, have you read Rahul Gandhi's recent piece where he penned his views on Hinduism? What do you make of it?
See, actually, he doesn't seem to have read much about how Hinduism, Hindutva, Sanatana Dharma has been expounded by Swami Vivekananda or Aurobindo. It is too much for me to expect him to have read those great minds. But anyhow, it's a newspaper article by a person who is not very well known for his scholarly understanding of Sanatana Dharma. But I have read something about Sanatana Dharma with which I will relate what great minds have talked about Sanatana Dharma and how he has spoken about it. You know, Aurobindo was the person who, as soon as he came out of the Alipur jail after the trial, he spoke about Sanatana Dharma as co-terminus with the life of India itself, Bharat itself. He said, as long as Sanatana Dharma lives, Bharat will live. So there is an alignment between Bharat and Sanatana Dharma. And Rahul Gandhi spoke about Sanatana Dharma, which is a territory free. He said it is not a territorial idea. And if there is no territorial idea, it is Advaita, which is a universal phenomenon transcending human differences, transcending the world. It comprehends the entire creation. That is also an output of Sanatana Dharma. And it is for teaching that great idea that India exists. But Sanatana Dharma is the idea of India. To come very quickly to what Sanatana Dharma means, the idea that the motto that the Prime Minister gave to G20, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, captures in essence Sanatana Dharma in living form. If you give me 2-3 minutes, I will explain. Is it, is it merely a philosophic exposition or an abstract idea that the Prime Minister said, one earth, one family, and therefore one future? You see, India consists of just 2.5% of the global land area. We have 18% of human population, 30% of cattle population, 8% of mammals and birds. How is it that on 2.5% of the land area, such a huge, unmanageable population of humans, animals, birds, with a 21% forest coverage live together? This is Sanatana Dharma in living form. Their food habits, their lifestyle, the way they relate to animals, the way they relate to the tree, the nature, is not accident. This has been ingrained over thousands of years by great rishis who had seen beyond their time. Their thoughts were timeless. So, if you look at the entire arrangement of Bharat as a territory, this gives a living model of what Sanatana Dharma is. And I will refer you to the mm, most important website, ourworldindata.com, that says if the Western food habits is adopted by the world, we will need 40% more land than we have today. But if the Indian food habit is adopted by the world, we will need only 40% of the land the world uses. What does that mean? Did it happen by accident that we make use of these resources in such economic manner? And what Isavasya Upanishad says, Isavasya Midam Sarvam Yatkinjat Jagadyam Jagat Tena Taktena Punjidaha Mahagrada Kasya Sudanam, that you must make use of these resources in the most economic manner, the most simple manner, and in the most compassionate manner. That is
Uh,
why we make cereal the main food.
Mr.
And
Gurumurthy,
it is about
I have a couple of questions here before you move on to something more substantive. When Sanatan Dharma is so accommodative, there's one line in Rahul Gandhi's article which in a sense, and मैं हिंदी में भी बोलूंगा क्योंकि this is a bilingual podcast, मुझे खटकती है. मुझे ये line बड़ी खटकती है, and let me quote you what he has written. A Hindu is not a victim and never allows her fear to capture her and turn her into a vehicle for anger, hatred, or violence. I mean, what is the reason why this line is being included as if to put the Hindu on the back foot, as if the Hindu is the perpetrator of violence, which we know is not the case. We are seeing Islamic jihad across the world. And point number two, why is Rahul Gandhi writing this article now in context of the statements that have been made, particularly by leaders of the India Alliance, particularly from your state and by the DMK? The two questions.
See, after all, Rahul Gandhi's DNA has this element. Jawaharlal Nehru, when he opened his mouth as the independent Prime Minister of India, he said that Muslim communalism is aggressive, but Hindu communalism is dangerous. I mean, I don't expect a Prime Minister to speak in such a profane manner. And if Jawaharlal Nehru could talk like that, I am not surprised that Rahul Gandhi speaks like this. I will only refer to one website built by Professor R.J. Ramal after 33 years of hard research. The website is called the Democide. Our Kills is the website, in which he has said in the world in 2500 years, some 1.2 billion people have been slaughtered by humans acting against humans. 1.2 billion people have been slaughtered. He said till the 13th century, there has never been mass killing in India. This is his finding. What is it that we were the most populous country in the world? We were living in a very small geographic area. But how is it that we never killed each other? It is because of a lifestyle, a philosophy, a living model. If Rahul doesn't know all this, should we mean to discuss with him so seriously? The man doesn't seem to understand anything. So my feeling is his idea is political. He has a political agenda against the Prime Minister. And even today, India is one of the most peaceful countries in the world. Country in the world. If you look at the United Nations data which has been published, the the there are many sources. I can cite the United Nations which consolidates the crime levels of the world. India is one of the countries with the least crime in the world in terms of murder, in terms of rape, in terms of dacoity. But why don't they look at all this? So how do you say India is a country where in murder India doesn't figure in the law in the first 50 or 60 at all?
And yet he's sermonizing Hindus.
In rape it doesn't figure at all.
And what do you make about the timing? Timing के बारे में आप क्या सोचते हैं? Vineet, then you can take it from there.
You see,
Timing के बारे
actually,
में
the timing is the election, political, and there are enough number of elements outside India which will quote him. That an Indian is saying this, not only an Indian, an opposition party man is saying this. You know, he has a visiting card. If he is speaking without this visiting card, nobody will even look at him. The visiting card is a political visiting card for a political agenda, for a political target, and for a political purpose. And unfortunately, that purpose is directed against the nation itself.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I just want to ask one basic question. देखिए, Sanatan Dharm is the backbone of our country. Our country is believing in Sanatan Dharm since ages. We have given this particular knowledge worldwide to everyone. And it is a known fact. It is a known fact that politically, now since you connected politically, it is a known fact that Sanatan Modi ji is supposed to be a big Hindu leader. And already he has fought two general elections in 2014 as well as in 2019. And he has actually got a lot of support from Hindus, everything agreed. But what was the reason suddenly? You can see the kind of hate being inculcated in this particular nation against the Sanatan Dharma. These particular parties, including Congress, DMK, everyone, they have been anti-Hindus. whatever they say that they may portray themselves to be secular, but the world knows, the entire nation knows that what are the real agenda. But till yet, that agenda was under the carpet. Now, for the first time, it is coming out in such a, what is a loud and clear voice that we want to eradicate Sanatan Dharma. तो अभी अचानक से ऐसे क्या हुआ है कि
Hmm.
इनको इतना डर लगने लगा है कि अब वो सनातन धर्म के खिलाफ इतना खुल के बात करने लगे हैं. This is a point to be thought upon.
And Gurumurthy ji, just to add to what Vineet is saying, केवल ये it's not a phenomenon of just Tamil Nadu parties. A Raja and Udaynidhi Stalin तो बोल ही रहे हैं, पर parties जो north से है, the North Indian parties like RJD, like Samajwadi Party, they are also openly attacking Ramcharitmanas or putting Tilak. So can you tell us what Vineet was asking you? कि why is the attack so blatant, obvious, and visceral now?
You see, this kind of attack is an evolution which corresponded to the development of nationalism in India, the idea of Hindu nationalism, Sanatana nationalism. As one who has been very deeply associated with the Ram Janmabhoomi movement and what happened at the time and later, there was a time when the idea of Hindu was considered to be, in secular terms, an unacceptable idea. Ram Janmabhoomi turned the whole thing, and Hindutva became the mascot of the BJP. I was one of the persons involved in drafting the manifesto of the BJP in 1991, where we put the word Hindutva after considerable thinking. In 1976, this is very important because most of the people do not know whether the BJP came out with this as a political slogan or it was constitutionally an acceptable proposition, philosophically acceptable proposition. In 1976, the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court decided that the word Hindu is cultural and civilizational and it is not religious. And they took a particular case in a Brahmin family. A boy married a German Christian lady and got a Christian boy. And the father died, the Hindu father died. Whether the son and the mother, both of whom were Christian, bearing Christian names. I don't want to mention the name because it's a very leading industrial family. So the issue went to the Supreme Court whether they constituted a Hindu undivided family. The Supreme Court quoted the Encyclopedia Britannica and said, a Hindu may follow a non-Hindu religion without ceasing to be a Hindu. It is an evolution without a founder, without a theology, without an adversary, without the other thought which has to be banished. So he said, the Supreme Court decided, and we rested on that and said Hindutva means this. And the 1995 96 Hindutva judgment quoted this 1976 judgment and said that Hindu is not religion, it is the ethos, it is the culture, it is the way of life of India. After that, where is the question of recalling Jawaharlal Nehru, who said Hindu is more dangerous than the aggressive Islam? These are all cheap political statements. The paradigm shifted in 1996. Afterwards, India has not turned back. But the person who powerfully articulated this, I still remember the 2014 interview, yeah, an interview which, while traveling in the aircraft, Narendra Modi gave that I am a Hindu and I am a nationalist, so I am a Hindu nationalist. His simple way of explaining a philosophy, which the Supreme Court in 1996 said that I am a Hindu nationalist because I am a Hindu and a nationalist. No other political leader had the guts to say this. So he brought Hindu nationalism, Hindutva, which was in the periphery of constitutionalism and courts, into the mainline politics. That is his greatest contribution. And he has now upgraded it to a global level by making Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is incorporated in the Maha Upanishad, which adorns the parliament from 1950. But no politician, no national leader had the guts to mention it at the global level because it comes from a Hindu literature, 5,000-year-old literature, where the Maha Upanishad says that you don't look at the other man as a different man from me. That is a small mindedness. If you look at the whole world, it is one family. This world means Vasudha means earth. That is why the Prime Minister did not equate Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam as world as a family. He said earth as a family. Because we live with everything. So the idea of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam related to the idea of India, and now I will quote what Aurobindo said in 1909. This is for Rahul Gandhi to listen. It is for Sanatan Dharma that Bharat arises. It is for the world, not for ourselves. Bharat rising is for the world. The freedom of Bharat is for the service of the world. Even attaining freedom for India is for the service of the world. The next 4-5 lines are very important. When therefore it is said that India shall rise, it is Sanatana Dharma that shall rise. When it is said that India shall be great, it is Sanatana Dharma that shall be great. When it is said that India shall expand and extend herself, it is Sanatana Dharma that shall expand and extend itself all over the world. It is for Dharma and by Dharma that India exists. This is what Aurobindo said in 1909. Sanatana Dharma is territorial. It is philosophical. It is linked to a way of life which is lived by the people, which shows how on a small territory you can accommodate so many billions, 300 million cattle. America is 3.5 times the size of India. It has only 89 million cattle. China is 3.5 times the size of India. It has only 90 million cattle. How do we live with all? When we were having no food in 1960s, we never ate those animals. This is Sanatana Dharma in living form. This is what Modi put it on the global map. He didn't say it merely as a slogan. He said we have a living model. It is not only this, the way human beings live. We are 4.5 people per household. In America, it is 2.5 persons per household. If, like Americans, we decide to discard our own parents and grandparents and begin living life, we will need 150 million more houses, which will be beyond the capacity of India to even accommodate in terms of land. Even human beings, the accommodation which they show, living with others, bearing the responsibilities, which is the state backs. This is Sanatana Dharma. So it has a very expansive and a concrete meaning.
Gurumurthy ji, you made a very important point, and before Sandeep steps in and has a say as well, you said Modi has brought Hindutva or Sanatan Dharma, which was at the periphery at one point, into the mainstream, obviously because of the kind of approach pseudo secularists have had over the last 6 decades. In fact, we also see right from Rishi Sunak to an international approval or international endorsement for Sanatan coming in from various quarters. In fact, if you notice at the G20, the two visible or three visible symbols that Prime Minister displayed to the entire world were the Konak Chakra, was a Nataraj statue at Bharat Mandapam, and was the Nalanda University. Incidentally, Sandeep is from Bihar. So my point is, on the one hand, एक तरफ तो सनातन का बज रहा है डंका पूरी दुनिया में, और दूसरी तरफ when the India alliance calculates and makes this attack on Sanatan Dharma, is this only about Modi? I am beginning to feel that Modi bahana hai ya Modi se घृणा करते करते this is a larger civilizational war or a larger civilizational battle that is against the very essence of Bharatiyata and Sanatan way of life.
See, this is precisely what Mahatma Gandhi said in 1909, the same year in which Aurobindo spoke in Uttarpara. He said our freedom battle itself is civilization. The
That's right.
Indian freedom battle was civilization. But post independence, we never followed this idea of civilization. We virtually adopted the Western civilization and never decolonized ourselves. Mahatma Gandhi called for decolonization even before we attained freedom. He wanted a decolonized Congress, decolonized education, decolonized society, decolonized literature. But post independence, we never followed Mahatma Gandhi and we followed the entire colonial model. It is Narendra Modi who has launched the civilizational war. The civilizational war as a background, as I said, it all started with the Ram Bhumi movement. And Narendra Modi has taken the lead. And this is not something which the status quo is, who have benefited by the destruction of the Indian civilizational idea to accept. It is their whole, what I can call their political life, their personal life, their financial life, everything depends on Indian civilization being subordinate to whosoever dominates India. At one point it was Russia, then America. Now we have risen up as an independent nation. And Narendra Modi today is perhaps the tallest world leader. Because I'm not getting into this morning consult and all that. It is just the way the world leaders look at him, move with him, their body language, what they talk. He has now taken India to another level. This is precisely what Aravindo said, India's rise. And he represents the civilization of India. So if you have to attack the Indian civilization, you have to attack Modi. If Modi is brought down, the Indian civilization will be brought down. So you have a pseudo explanation for Indian civilization. Make it territory free, that it is something which is above India, and say that Indian civilization has no concrete form. That is how they are attacking Modi. The entire thing is not only anti-Indian civilization, it is anti-India, and it is all focused on Modi because he symbolizes all.
So thanks, Gurumurthy ji, because you explain it very, very well. And it seems like when people have a true knowledge of the Sanatan Dharma or understanding of Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism, how well he interpret the things. So thanks a lot for that. And I want to add a few things to what you explained, so just to give a context here, that even for the Sanatan Dharma, which is considered like there is no English translation or something, but sometimes we talk in English, we have to do, it's more is considered as eternal law, or sometimes you say order that you should follow or do. The most appropriate or English term that comes as a duty, the eternal duty. So one thing is that it is very limitless in terms of time, in the universe, in the boundaries of the Sanatan Dharma. If you consider it as a religion, then I think that it will only one, from my limited knowledge that I read, as a only religion, and everything will come under this as a subset, because the teachings are the same. If you see the six pillar of Sanatan Dharma, so you will see two parts. One, where we, in the history, a lot of people happen who educate about Sanatan Dharma by translation in simple form so that people understand, and the other who follow the pillars of this. And I think that Narendra Modi is the one who is the follower of the one pillars, and he's transforming the society and upbringing the culture. Now, for with respect to Rahul Gandhi, but any politician, we should not name, but any politician, what do they do? Is they are doing the politics of convenience. So today they need vote of certain group, so they are challenging Sanatan Hindu and they are doing it openly. So if I take people from south of India like Tamil Nadu who challenge and give Sanatan, they should see their people like Adi Sankaracharya, who was a scholar. We treat him as a god, but he's a human being, very young, 32-year-old. He died by doing all those things. Whatever things he gave oneness. He traveled all around India. He re-established Sanatan. And now the sixth pillar, so truthfulness, compassion. So compassion is not only for human, but all the living beings. That means animal, plants, planet, the resource that we have. So this is the term that we have. austerity, cleanliness. So cleanliness is a simple thing, but it is one of the pillar of Sanatan Dharma. And you see Mahatma Gandhi, who talk a lot about cleanliness. He said people should not spit on the street. Consider before independence how many streets we have. But he say because it has a value. And some at one point of time he says that cleanliness is more important than the independence, and we should follow. Now Narendra Modi, after such gap of many years, he brings Swachh Bharat mission, and then he reestablished everything. 2 lakhs villages are open defecation free today, and there are many things, many toilets that is built. So cleanliness, and as you know, how we interpret Sanatan Dharma and the pillars. So cleanliness in two form. One is physically that we are doing and we want because it is something which is important for us. And there are other people like Gautam Buddha or Swami Vivekananda or Adi Shankar who talk about inner cleanliness, what you can bring. All the answers lies inside you. So one of the thing, like Swami Vivekananda, he say you must be fearless. Then only you can be awoken, and then only you can achieve anything in the life. And after that, if you see some of his writing for Upanishad, they say one thing that come like a bombshell out of Upanishad is fearlessness. And all the human beings should be fearless. And if India wants to grow or Bharat wants to grow, they must be fearless. And this is one that thing. Truthfulness, we should practice it. Today, this is the thing that the moral values of the people are decreasing. And that's why they say something that they don't understand. Ask these politicians or people who challenge Sanatan to write 10 pages on Sanatan. What Adi Shankar has done. Thousand of literature is simplified people to read. And I give you one example because it was very controversial to say something on Ramcharitmanas. So, Swami Tulsidas has written, it is a Mahakavya. Most read, most written, most tell and practice. So it becomes such a success for all Hindus and in India and abroad as well. So people say about it all the bad words and meaning. So what he wrote, he said, Kavit Gyan ek nahi more, Satya kahun likhu kagad kore. He says, I have no sense for kavita or knowledge to understand it. Kavit Gyan ek nahi more, लिखुत सत्य कहूं लिखुत कागज कोरे. जो मैं सच समझता हूं, जो मैं सच जानता हूं, जो मैं सच मानता हूं, उसी को लिख देता हूं. एक ज्ञानी जिसने इतना बड़ा महाकाव्य लिखा, उसने अपने बारे में इतना लिखा कि मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता. And the other politicians, the Samajwadi Party, RJD, whosoever is challenging him. So there's another part.
पोटेशियम साइनाइड, दे कंपेयर्ड इट टू पोटेशियम साइनाइड. बट इससे एक जुड़ा हुआ सवाल है, गुरुमूर्ति जी, इफ आई मे आस्क यू, गुरुमूर्ति जी, लास्ट फ्यू डेज द कॉन्वर्सेशन यू सीन एंड यू रिटन अ पीस ऑन दिस, आपने एक पीस भी लिखा है इस पर. इज सनातन एज shown and portrayed by the likes of DMK a taboo or something that is looked down upon in Tamil Nadu, or is this actually the core philosophy and soul of Tamil? And I'm going to add one more question to that because I know you're itching to answer this and explain this in great detail. What is the symbolism of the Sengol in this context, something that you have been associated with? You obviously have a great contribution in that Sengol actually arriving in the new parliament. So in both these questions, if you could answer.
You see, DMK has the most embarrassing job to do because the entire Tamil literature, starting from Tolkapiyam, which is the very origin of Tamil language, Tamil grammar, to Tirukkural, to Silappatikaram, these are all the great literature which the DMK itself celebrates.
Okay.
In fact, Karunanidhi has written select parts of Tolkapiyam as Tolkapiya Punga, that is the park of Tolkapiyam. And he has taken a film on Silappatikaram, which is the story of the great woman called Kannaki, a highly chaste woman. And of course, Tirukkural. These are all the essential defining features of Tamil civilization. Remove them, there is no Tamil civilization. Tolkapiyam says that Tolkapiyar, the author, presented the Tolkapiyam in the Sabha of Pandyan king after taking approval from a Brahmin living in a village called Adankodu. This village is still there in Kanyakumari district. From that village, a Chaturvedi Brahmin approved, yes, this can be presented because it is consistent with the Panini grammar. This is the starting point of Tamil, and the entire story of how the Tamil civilization was, society was, corresponds to what the Vedic civilization says, how the society was organized. In that, it is organized as per the society's organization elsewhere. But what we need to know is the organization at that time, which is being castigated as Varna. Mahatma Gandhi said, Varna has nothing to do with caste. Unless we understand it, we will interpret Varna through caste. What is
Hmm.
happening politically is Varna is being interpreted through caste. Mahatma Gandhi said, Varna and caste have nothing to do with each other. So, the Tamil society as well as the rest of India had only one way of life. This is what Silappatikaram says. So, E.V. Ramsam Naikar said, burn this because this is Aryan literature. Then comes Tirukural. In Tirukural, Vedas are celebrated, Vedic principles are celebrated, teaching of Vedas is celebrated, learning of Vedas is celebrated. So, E.V. Ramsam Naikar said, this is an Aryan literature. So it is like human excreta put on a golden plate and given to the Tamils. And this man is the ideological mentor of the DMK. Then comes Silappatikaram. In Silappatikaram, the Kannaki's husband was given capital punishment wrongly by the king. She proves the king was wrong. And she pinches one of her breasts, stokes fire out of it, and throws it on Madurai and asks Madurai, the fire to burn Madurai, except the Brahmin, a woman, child, and cow. Periyar says, burn this. And Periyar, who says that these are Sanatana Dharma literature, they must be burnt. And DMK is celebrating those literature and also celebrating Periyar. You can see the contradiction. The DMK has no literature. Tamil civilization has no literature apart from Sanatana Dharma. In fact, I don't want to go deep, which I have gone in this article. The earliest exponent of Advaita was a person called Tirumular. He is supposed to even predate Shankara. He has explained that with the concept. And Tirumular is accepted by the DMK. So DMK has a huge, in fact, if somebody can wage a war in Tamil Nadu intellectually, the DMK's ideological space will be over. So if you look at what has happened in Tamil Nadu conceals its anti-nationalism in the idea of anti-Sanatana Dharma. That is the essence of opposition to Sanatana Dharma of the DMK is actually an anti-national idea.
I think that's a very, very pertinent explanation. And what about the Sengol? How come even the Sengol was ridiculed by Rahul Gandhi? His grandfather, great grandfather Nehruji, accepts the Sengol and he ridicules it, says it's, that Sengol and whatever. And
Liberated by Thiruvalluvar by writing 10 Thirukurals. Sengol is the symbol of dharmic rule. Kodungol is the very opposite of it. It is dictatorship. Sengol is democracy. Kodungol, which is the opposite. He talks about Kodungol also. Kodungol is when a king does a wrong thing out of ego, out of anger, out of whatever. That is Kodungol. Sengol is a king is supposed to hold it so long as he sees the Sengol. He has to act honestly according to Dharma. This has been the Tamil tradition. That is why Rajaji suggested this, that if there is a symbolic handing over of the power by the British, it has to be in the Indian way. The Indian way has survived in Tamil Nadu, the traditions of Tamil Nadu. That is why he wanted Sengol as the symbol. And once the Prime Minister came to know about it, in fact, I was in a way associated with this whole process because I wrote an article in the Tughlaq and it was translated and sent to the Prime Minister by Dr. Padma Subramanian. That is how the whole thing started. But the way the Prime Minister went into it to establish the veracity of it, the symbolic value of it, and how great men had conceived this as the symbol of Sanatana Dharma. He decided that whatever may be the opposition or he knew there will be opposition. Not that the Prime Minister knows that whatever he touches, there will be an opposition. Because that is the way he is made, and that is why he has made the country also. So, the way he went about it to make it, I tell you, it is one of the most important symbols of civilizational revival of India post independence, which unfortunately did not continue because of political distortions.
It was reduced to a walking stick. Hmm.
Sengol, see, you can understand how they trivialize the Indian civilization. Sengol in parliament is a very important thing which the Indian civilization will continue to recall.
Interesting. Ji, Viniji, you can just go ahead. You don't need to ask permission. It's a podcast.
No, I didn't want to disturb. गुरुमूर्ति सर, थैंक यू सो मच कि मैंने पहले आपको जो क्वेश्चन पूछा था आपने वो हिसाब से भी व्हाई सडनली अचानक से सनातन धर्म के खिलाफ इतनी आवाज उठने लगी है, व्हाई आर नाउ पीपल बिकमिंग सो लाउड एंड क्लियर अबाउट इरेडिकेशन ऑफ सनातन धर्म. So I'm very thankful for the answer. I would just like to add my one view with my limited knowledge that the kind of opposition which is coming for Sanatan Dharma now is going to catch up more momentum जैसे जैसे राम मंदिर का उद्घाटन का समय आएगा. बिकॉज जहां तक थोड़ा सा मैंने ग्लोबल पॉलिटिक्स में थोड़ी सी जानकारी रखने की कोशिश करता हूं, I have seen that global politics is actually run in two centers. There are two power centers right now. One is at Makkah and second is at Vatican City. And now this is for the first time that there is the third power center which is going to be the biggest power center which is coming up at Ayodhya. Power center means I don't say कि वहां पे कोई political power centralized है, लेकिन उस पर्टिकुलर उस प्लेस को उस पर्टिकुलर जो पार्टी है उसको फॉलो करते हुए फिर अकॉर्डिंगली ग्लोबल पॉलिटिक्स उसके हिसाब से रिवॉल्व होता है. इट्स अ नोन फैक्ट दैट Vatican City is not immune to world politics. They may not come in front. They are always behind the curtain, but major decisions are always influenced. Makkah, how does it rule the entire Gulf and Arab world? And how the politics runs around oil, pharma, and arms, which are the basically in the hands of these two particular power centers. And now, for the first time, there is one third power center coming up at Ayodhya, which is equally that religiously important for every Hindu staying on any part of the world. So, can that be also one of the main reasons? Because we also know, though, since Shehzad is there, I'm not going to make any political statement, but just let me just say it subtly that we know to which religion majority of these people belong to who are making the statements of eradicating Sanatan Dharma. So, is it their statement? क्योंकि मुझे तो कभी-कभी लगता है कि इसके पीछे global politics भी है. These people are only the pawns in the hands of certain global forces, which have been utilized, which are being used against Sanatan Dharma to stop Bharat being that third power center. मेरा ये
See,
एक
I would look at it a little differently. See, the global politics in the last 60, 70 years has become geopolitical Christian politics. It is not Christian politics because Christianity has transformed itself into Western understanding of the world, Western worldview. So, it is not necessary for Vatican to play a role. Vatican is only a symbol so far as the Western countries are concerned.
correct.
They want their worldview to prevail, for which they do not want any other power center. They don't want any power center other than the Western understanding of the world permits, particularly after the Cold War collapsed. But power centers are arising in the world. For example, in the last 2 years, 3 years, there is a civilizational paradigm developing in the world. And so it is not that it is being driven by some religion, it is driven by geopolitics mixed with religion. It is not that there is a religious center driving it. The religious center may not even know that they are being made. For example, I will relate my own personal interaction with Dr. Ali Saab, who came to India, with whom I had a discussion. When there was a discussion between the Hindu religious leaders and him, he confessed before the Hindu religious leaders that this is the only country where religious leaders talk about harmony. Wherever I have gone, they have only talked about domination, conquest, ruling, conversion. And he spoke this in the private meeting with the Hindu religious leaders. And immediately after, he came out and spoke in the Vivekananda International Foundation public meeting the same thing. He said, nowhere in the world people talk about harmony except in India. And the literature, the text has been interpreted to produce violence all over the world. And only in India there is talk about peace. This is the man who is a product of Mecca. There is a rethinking even among them. They have gone far ahead, they have gone too far. And when he was there for 7 days, of course, private conversations I cannot read. Whatever he spoke in public, I can tell you, they also look to, in fact, he said, India has to save the world. Indian spiritualism has to save, these are all on record. And he is the man who made the Mecca Declaration. So, I would say it is religiously driven geopolitics rather than religion driven. Religion has lost its meaning in the West. It is politics that has taken hold of religion. But in India, politics has taken hold of religion. And Narendra Modi has demolished it. He has made the idea of dharma stand independent of politics. He is actually fighting for dharma in politics. Whereas the idea was to destroy dharma in politics, and they had very successfully done it also. So Narendra Modi's idea is to ensure that dharma survives and dharma informs politics. In the West, it is the otherwise. It is religion that should reflect politics. Like in India, religion was reflecting politics. So I think we have got to understand the geopolitical forces working against India are political.
Gurumurthy ji, you're absolutely right, and this is one of the things that Prime Minister is doing, is trying to bring the concept of dharma back into politics, which is not very different from what Mahatma Gandhi ji also envisaged. Mahatma Gandhi ji never envisaged politics without dharma. Otherwise, politics without dharma is basically immoral, and that can have many repercussions. But I have a couple of questions to put on this. One is that, what do you tell those people who say, look, the last 9 years, what has the BJP government done? The BJP government has renamed things like Rajpath to Kartavya Path, or we have renamed from Aurangzeb Road to APJ Abdul Kalam, or they will say that, look, now you have this, and these are their words, not my words, that there is a rise of what the Western publications also say, militant fascist Hindu nationalism, because a Ram Mandir is being built after a Supreme Court order in Ayodhya. How do you tackle those kinds of arguments that look at us actually celebrating our lost civilizational heritage as something that is linked to fascism or the rise of militant nationalism, as it were, as they put it? Is the building of a Ram Mandir a symbol of Hindu fascism? Is the the upgradation of Kashi Vishwanath Dham akin to that? Can that be said?
You see, these are all in politics. You can keep on repeating lies, and there are enough number of obliging media people who will publicize it without asking a question. See, this Ram Mandir issue is not today's issue. Is organized by the government of India, and I had quoted it in the BJP white paper where he has said these are all provocative symbols. And he even went to the extent of saying, if I were advising the British government, I will ask them to remove all these symbols of British domination in India. Otherwise, the Indian mind will always think that the British people dominated and looted us.
Exactly.
This
I
is
totally, yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
this is harmony. Removing the past baggage, past bad feelings, past pressure, which can produce violence. That is actually the contribution Modi has made.
Just to add to this one, that it is exactly the case, and we should do what is right, not what people are saying, because this is the chance to do. And Narendra Modi is re-establishing the culture. That's why the people are becoming uncomfortable. The Prasad scheme, where they regenerate many temples, the Bharat Darshan. And I give you one example about the renaming things that we talk about. Because from Bihar, of course, there are two great universities, Nalanda and Vikramshila. So, Vikramshila University, which like in 7th century, that is what BC, what they gave. They gave the culture of the degree, the order. When we pass, we get a degree. They started this culture, which is accepted by all over the world and all. And these two universities are destroyed by a Turkish invader, I think. And then there is a city. It's called Bakhtiarpur. There is a railway station, Bakhtiarpur railway station. And I think that it's pity many people don't know, and those who know, why we are worshipping them with the name and all that to teach people. When he burned Nalanda University, they have a library with around 90,000 to 1 lakh books at that time, and it keep burning because it's vertical and horizontal for 3 months. So much of book and literature that he destroyed. So exactly coming back to your point, Shehzadji, when you say that attack on Modi and all, what they attack is knowledge and your belief system. And that's the core. They always attack the temples, because at that time, temple is a place where also people get educated. And then
Yes.
you have a belief and rituals. So, Hindus are very tolerant, I think, and they tolerate all the things. If you see Bharat Darshan scheme, there is a circuit for Buddhist circuit, what we call. There's a Sufi circuit. There is a circuit for Tirthankar, for Jainism. And I was very happy to see two parts. One is, for Buddhism, they talked to Nepal, and they are doing from where Lumbini, where he born, Gautam Buddha. Then in Bihar, Bodh Gaya, where he get enlightenment. Then Sarnath, where he did first preaching. And then it will go to Kosambi, where he finally died. And also connect, I think, to Shravasti, where he spent most of his life and give his teaching and all, and show the spiritual power. So, these kind of things start awakening people, whatever your belief system and all. First, you start believing in that uprising. This makes a lot of political party uncomfortable, and then they are attacking Modi. They are saying Hindu intolerance against Muslims and all. But this is not the case. India never invaded someone, and we always teaching tolerance to everyone.
I think that's what the Prime Minister said during Bhumi Pujan. He said this is a symbol of modernity and unity. If I remember those words, ये हमारी अखंडता और प्रगतिशीलता का प्रतीक है, आधुनिक भारत का प्रतीक है.
So he says like that. And then, so this is the thing. And in Mahabharat, which is also talked about most of the things, that when war become necessary for dharma, and what are the things you should do even in war. And what, at the end, what was the conclusion is that that peace is cheapest even if you get it at the highest cost. शांति जिस भी मोल मिले वो सस्ता है. So this was the teaching that it gives. So we always give a chance to diplomacy at the international or global level, and also in the conflict, in the terms of a country and the religion. This 10-year, 20, 30 years are very small, and for ulterior gain, for small benefits and all, people start maligning things which never exist. So this Hindu intolerance is such things, making other uncomfortable. This is another one. It never happens, but it is more politicians who are talking and dividing people. So these are the things that I feel.
I
Gurumurthy
would like
ji,
to add.
Shehzad
I
ji,
would like to
ji.
add one thing which is very important when I mentioned Arnold Toynbee. He called these masjids in Ayodhya, Kashi, and and Mathura as symbols of political assertion. They are not religious masjids. They are political masjids, for which he gave an example in 1619, when Poland was taken over by Russia. Russia built a Russian Orthodox cathedral in the center of Warsaw. When Poland got freedom from Russian occupation after the First World War, the first thing that the Polish church government did was to demolish the Russian cathedral and erect the Polish, that it is the Roman Catholic cathedral was raised in its place. And when it was demolished, over radio, it was running commentary was given. In fact, Toynbee says, I could not go to see the demolition. I went and saw the place where it was, where the Russian cathedral stood. He said, the Polish people did the right thing by demolishing that Russian cathedral because it was a political symbol. It was not a religious symbol. And they erected another church in its place. So these are all not religious symbols. The one at Ayodhya or Kashi or Mathura are provocative political symbols. So it has to be, Arnold Toynbee's speech again has to be circulated. Please put it on the BJP website. This is Azad Memorial Lecture 1957.
मैं सिर्फ ना आपको कुछ लिस्ट गिनाता हूँ, ठीक है? अगर हिंदुज्म लोगों के हिसाब से सिर्फ अगर मंदिरों तक अगर लिमिटेड है, धर्म छोड़ के सिर्फ मंदिरों तक अगर लिमिटेड है हिंदुज्म, तो चलो राम मंदिर छोड़ दीजिए, मान लेते बाबा वो पॉलिटिकल इश्यू था इसलिए मोदी जी ने बनवाया। अभी गुरुमूर्ति सर जी ने बिल्कुल सही कहा कि काशी विश्वनाथ कॉरिडोर जो बना है जिसकी वजह से हिंदुओं को जो सहूलियत मिली है, जो फैसिलिटी मिली है, कन्वीनियंस मिला, सेम थिंग इज एप्लीकेबल फॉर महाकाल कॉरिडोर। लेकिन ये तो चलो लोगों को फिर भी पता है, कितने लोगों को पता है कि विंध्याचल में विंध्यवासिनी देवी जी का जो कॉरिडोर डेवलप हो रहा है वो कितने बढ़िया तरीके से डेवलप हो रहा है।
फिर से बताना कौन सा कॉरिडोर है ये?
विंध्यवासिनी देवी जी का कॉरिडोर, ठीक है। दिसंबर 23 में जब वो कॉरिडोर कंप्लीट होगा तो आप उधर के जलवे देख लीजिए। अब उधर जब इतने भक्तों की होड़ लगी रहती है, लाइन लगी रहती है, जब उनको कन्वीनियंस मिलता है तो आप सोचिए कितना उसको फर्क पड़ता है। गुरुमूर्ति सर जी ने अभी कश्मीर की बात की थी। कश्मीर कश्यप ऋषि की लैंड, उसके ऊपर से नाम पड़ा था कश्मीर। एब्रोगेशन तो चलो पॉलिटिकल इश्यू, राइट, लेकिन उसके बाद वहां पे जो जम्मू में तो चलो फिर भी हिंदुओं को थोड़ा बहुत तो कुछ तो कन्वीनियंस था, बट कश्मीर, अब उस कश्मीर में शारदा माता का टेम्पल रिनोवेट होके ओपन हो चुका है 22 मार्च 2023 को। अब वहां पे नवरात्रि भी मनाई जाती है। उसके बाद फिर एक खीर भवानी माता मंदिर है कश्मीर में जो 5 दिसंबर 2021 को रिनोवेट करके ओपन हो चुका है। शंकराचार्य मंदिर कश्मीर में उसका रिनोवेशन स्टार्ट हो चुका है इन मार्च 2023। ये तो चलो कश्मीर की बातें हैं। केदारनाथ में जब इतना बड़ा जब कैलामिटी हुई थी, जब मंदिर टूट गया था, सब कुछ हुआ था, लोगों की लाशें कहाँ पड़ी थी पता नहीं था, और उस वक्त की सरकार राहुल गांधी और सोनिया गांधी के फ्री होने का इंतजार करती कि आके वो ट्रक के सामने झंडा हिलाए तब जाके वो पार्ले जी के बिस्किट
करप्शन भी किया था उसमें,
और पार्ले जी के बिस्किट पहुंचाने के लिए उनको झंडा दिखाना था। उस केदारनाथ मंदिर का जो रिनोवेशन हुआ, जो जीर्णोद्धार हुआ, उसके अलावा अब वहां पे जो आदि शंकराचार्य का जो आइडॉल वहां पे उठाया गया कि दैट इज नथिंग एल्स बट अ कनेक्शन टू शो द कनेक्शन बिटवीन द सनातन धर्म एंड आवर गॉड, कि हमारे देवता भी जो उन्होंने जो सीख दी है वो हमारे गुरुओं ने हमें पहुंचाई है, जो दिखाने का वो एक तरीका होता है।
कन्याकुमारी और केदारनाथ का भी कनेक्शन है।
एग्जैक्टली। अच्छा, दूसरी चीज, गुजरात में पावगढ़ हिल पे जो कालिका माता का मंदिर है, जो अपने जो बोलते हैं कि देवी जी के जो शक्तिपीठ आते हैं उनमें से 52 शक्तिपीठों में से एक है, उसके ऊपर मजार बनी हुई थी। वो मजार हटवा के वहां पे मंदिर का रिनोवेशन करके फिर वहां पे उसका ऑलरेडी उसके ऊपर झंडा ध्वज भी जो फहराना होता है वो फहरा के हो गया. दैट हैज बीन डन इन 18 जून 2022. अच्छा, भारत की बात छोड़िए, सनातन धर्म को पूरे वर्ल्ड में लेके जाने के लिए जो इस्लामिक कंट्रीज है वहां पे अबू धाबी जैसे देश में, बहरीन में जो इतने बड़े बड़े मंदिर बनाए गए. अच्छा, न्यू जर्सी में अब सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट टेम्पल इन द वर्ल्ड बन रहा है. हिंदू टेम्पल इन द वर्ल्ड सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट.
जो लोग दोनों साइड से अटैक करते हैं मोदी जी को, ये यूपी के बाद जो मध्य प्रदेश का टूरिज्म बढ़ा है आफ्टर द महाकाल लो. जस्ट लेट मी गिव टू फिगर्स. 50% increase in foreign devotees to Mahakal Lo, and tourist arrivals in Madhya Pradesh, and please hear this, has increased by 60% in last 2 years. Domestic and foreign tourists was 64 lakh in 2003. It is 8 crore 46 lakhs after that now. 8 crore 46 lakh tourists.
Shehzad ji,
Now,
See,
who's
the
this going
number
to
of
benefit?
people, the number of people who visited Kashi Vishwanath temple in the last 12 months is 7.5 crore. Can you
7.5
believe?
crore.
It has increased by almost 11 times.
It is more than the number of foreign tourists and Bharatiya tourists visiting even Taj Mahal. And आपको ये जान के बहुत ही मतलब सरप्राइज होगा कि गोवा हैज लॉस्ट Kashi Vishwanath corridor and Mahakal corridor. They both are getting more tourists than Goa. So can you imagine? This is a kind of बोलते ना कि
You know
एक
this Omkareshwar Adi Shankar, that huge statue.
Statue of oneness. Yeah.
You know, it connects Kerala, and
Yeah.
Adi Shankar came in search of his guru to Omkareshwar, and to have a huge Advaitic institution at a cost of 3,000 crores. It is not just a symbolic elevation of Sanatana Dharma, but also an intellectual propagation of Sanatana Dharma. I mean, linking, you see, this is what M.J. Akbar wrote. M.J. Akbar said, it was Adi Shankara who built India. He said he gave us the idea of the country being one. He walked through the country and united the country and made the country feel one. This was one of the most important observations of M.J. Akbar. But all this were in bits and pieces.
Congress
Narendra
was
Modi-
crediting Nehru ji for idea of India.
एक
But
दूसरे
So it
you know,
happened much before Nehru ji. But
one-
no discourtesy
So
went
Narendra
to him.
Modi has put these bits and pieces together and presented a wholesome idea of what is Sanatana Dharma, what is national integration, what is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, what is nationalism, what is Hindutva, what is rising arisal of India. The most important thing is that India rising is the rising of Sanatana Dharma. Without India rising, Sanatana Dharma will be intellectual idea, a moral idea, great idea, recall of the past.
And
But
without
he is not putting it on the global map.
and Sanatan rising is Tamil rising because
Tamil
of your
rising.
explanation.
Absolutely. And
What do you
the
make
Sanatana-
of what do you make of the Kashi Tamil Sangamam that was initiated? Why was that done? And if you could just elaborate a little bit.
You see, actually, two great contributions from Narendra Modi to both Sanatana Dharma and to Tamil civilization is to have taken the great ideas of Sanatana Dharma in the ancient Tamil literature world over. And he spoken every important occasion. He quoted from the ancient Tamil literature the idea of Sanatana Dharma. Otherwise, Tamil was confined to Tamil Nadu, and maybe some international conference, some scholars spoke about it. No leader, Jawaharlal downwards, till Narendra Modi came on the scene, he became a brand ambassador for Tamil civilization, which expounded the idea of Sanatana Dharma. Second thing is his idea of this Kashi Tamil Sangamam. This completely shook Tamil Nadu because everybody thought Tamil is the responsibility of the DMK. They never thought it is a national responsibility. Nobody thought Tamil was a national asset. And it has not only ideas relevant for India. It has ideas relevant for the whole world. This Narendra Modi put on the Tamil map, as well as on the map of India, as well as on the map of the world. This is a great contribution to the Tamil culture. Of course, he called it as a contribution to the Indian civilization itself. He never separated Tamil civilization from the rest of India's civilization. The unknown dimensions of Indian civilization, which had become narrowed down to territorially to Tamil Nadu, he brought it out and he made it national and he made it global. And that's where Shehzad's point is important. Even the Sengol, it is a Tamil symbol, symbol of Sanatan Dharma in Tamil Nadu. And that he brought and put it on the national map and made it integral to the constitutional functioning of India.
शहजाद जी
Great
ने
contribution. You can keep on listing it. But if you look at the work he has done in 9 years, it's amazing that one man could conceive of all this and write, and he had only 24 hours of time. But still, he could do all that.
शहजाद
That's
जी मैं
very
एक
interesting.
एग्जांपल, मेरा पर्सनल एग्जांपल आपको बताता हूँ। ये जो काशी तमिल संगमम की जो आपने बात की थी, उसका असर सिर्फ तमिलनाडु के लिए नहीं, इसका असर ना बाकी लोगों पे भी पड़ा है। आई टेल यू, मैं जब वहां पे गया था, अपने निर्मला सीतारमण जी के साथ जाने का मौका मिला था, तो जब हम वहां पे हम लोग गए थे, मुझे पहली बार ये पता चला कि काशी विश्वनाथ मंदिर में जो पुजारी जी, जो ब्राह्मण, जो शंकर जी का अभिषेक करते, शिव जी का अभिषेक करते, पूजा अर्चा करते, ये सब तमिलनाडु के हैं। वहां पे
Yes.
कोई भी यूपी के ब्राह्मण नहीं है। अच्छा, उधर से जब हम लोग मंदिर से जब बाहर निकलते हैं, तो आपका दर्शन तब तक अधूरा है जब तक आप अन्नपूर्णा माता के मंदिर में दर्शन नहीं करते। और वो जो मंदिर है, आप एक बार एंटर करेंगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि भाई ये तो पूरा का पूरा तमिल कल्चर है। वहां पे जो पुजारी जी है वो भी ब्राह्मण पूरे तमिल है। अब देखिए, अब ये बातें नॉर्थ इंडियंस को पता चलने लगी है कि तमिलनाडु जो हमेशा साउथ के चक्कर में जो था कि भाई वो तमिलनाडु के ब्राह्मण हमारे नॉर्थ में आके पूजा अर्चा कर रहे हैं और उन्हीं के पास वो अधिकार है। और फिर तमिलनाडु के लोगों को ये पता चल रहा है कि भाई हमारे मंदिर वहां पे, धर्म बढ़ाने के लिए आपको किसी के घर में भगवान की मूर्ति पहुंचाना जरूरी नहीं है, आपको लोगों को साथ में लाना जरूरी है, कल्चर यूनाइट करना जरूरी है।
I will tell you the story that goes between Tamil Nadu and Kashi. You know, sometime in the late 18th century, the Natukotai Chettiars, they are all business people, a small community. Even today, the total population of Natukotai Chettiars is only 60,000. But they did a lot of work in Rangoon, in Singapore. In fact, half of Singapore was owned by them at one point. What they did, they made some profit in the rice trade in the Ganga region. They did it as a community, and it was 25,000 rupees in those days. So they said this profit is not because of us, this profit came to us because of Vishwanatha. And so they handed over the money to Kashi Maharaja and told him, you use it for the day-to-day puja of Vishwanatha. Even today, the daily puja of Vishwanatha is done from the trust funds that were given at that time. So what the Yogi government did in 2018, they called the Natukotai people. They are Chettiars, they are not Brahmins. Yogi ji called them by seeing the records that you people have been the only one who, after Ahilyabai, has maintained this temple, given the money. So you will do the Kumbhabhishekam. The right to do the Kumbhabhishekam for Vishwanatha temple before the corridor was built, that was given to the Tamil community, the Chettiar community, by the UP government. Which government will do that? They will say, I am doing it. They brought that community because for 150 years, they have taken care of the temple. You know how I came to know about it? I never knew about it myself. When I had gone for Pitrakarya, I found all these Chettiars were there, and Murugappa Group farmer chairman was there. I said, why are you guys here? He said, sir, we have been given the responsibility to do Kumbhabhishekam. And then they took me to Homakunda and all that. I was surprised that Yogi government called them and asked them to do this. That is the link between the south and the north with Kashi symbolizes.
Even for the Sengol installation, the pujaris and the people to consecrate it had come from south.
20 Adheenams who are Shaiva Adheenams, and none of them Brahmin. None of them Brahmin.
Oh,
None of them.
none of them Brahmin.
No. All the 20 were, I mean, we don't look at it that way because politics
That's right.
forces us to speak like this. Otherwise,
Jati na pucho sadhu.
we go to namaskarams to them.
That's
We never feel which caste this sadhu belongs to. We just fall at their feet because they are sadhu.
Hmm.
But politics makes us distinguish because everything is being done in the name of caste or against caste or for this caste. When Narendra Modi fell at their feet, he only recognized them as sadhus, nothing else.
It's very interesting. So, as we draw to a close on this podcast, finally, Sandeep, Vineet bhai, what are your final views on this issue as whole? And then we will end it with Gurumurthy ji's final comments. Sandeep bhai, why don't you go first? What is your view? Last 9 years, 10 years?
So few things, just one last angle that I will add to the temples that what we were discussing is that we don't talk, India is very populous country and we have a huge population, and 60% of the tourism is for religious purpose, some way or the another. But by doing all those things that Modi ji is doing, they are also building the infrastructure. So, you haven't heard
Yes,
about the stampede, and before there was a lot of stampede and people died. So it seems pity in all those things. But it is the other good benefit of that is, the last stampede, you remember when it happens, you will not see in the news, but before 10 years, there was
That's
a lot
right.
of things. So this is one, also creating some economic and job aspects locally for the people in that area. So this is one aspect. Now, final conclusion, if you see that I see a clear awakening in the people, globally or internationally as well, like Rishi Sunak taking oath on the Gita, or the president of Trinidad in South Africa in 2010, she speak in Sanskrit and with the Gita. And so several examples, there was a young politician in New Zealand, Dr. Gaurav Sharma, he took in Sanskrit and all those things. So I see clear awakening of Hinduism and Sanatan culture. We should wholeheartedly do what is right, not to get diverted by this news or information or attack. But what is also important is to speak up, to educate the young generation and all about what is Sanatan Dharma. Because if you don't understand, you get misled. And today, information become very easy. Everyone consumes a lot of information. So it is good time to also educate. So thanks for this, Shehzad ji, for this podcast, because it may help someone to understand it better in some way. And I am fully agreed that Narendra Modi is doing a great job in re-establishing the culture. And it is not against anyone, but it is the awakening of our Sanatan Dharma. So that might be.
Vineet ji, you want to have a final comment? Short comment?
शहजाद जी, अपने सब्जेक्ट जब शुरू हुआ था तो अपने फाइनल कंक्लूजन भी उसी पे है, उसमें कोई नई बात है ही नहीं. देयर इज नो डाउट द वे मोदी जी हैज एक्चुअली वर्क फॉर अपराइजिंग ऑफ सनातन धर्म इन आवर नेशन. एंड सेकेंडली, सबसे बड़ी क्रेडिटेबल बात यह है कि उन्होंने अगर सनातन धर्म के पुनरुत्थान के लिए उनको इस लाइक वर्ल्ड फोरम पे लाने के लिए जो काम किया है, कहीं भी दूसरे किसी रिलीजन को डीमीन न करते हुए उन्होंने ये काम किया. ये सबसे बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बात है. ना उन्होंने कहीं मुस्लिम्स को कंपलसरी हिंदूज में कन्वर्ट करने की बात की है, ना कहीं क्रिश्चियंस को बैक टू हिंदुज्म लाने की बात की. इट इज लाइक ही हैज गिवन फुल फ्रीडम टू एवरीवन. लेकिन द ओनली थिंग, मुझे सिर्फ इतना ही समझ में आता है, उनकी एक ही आइडियोलॉजी है. जब वो सनातन धर्म के लिए काम करते हैं, मुझे उनका सिर्फ वो एक इंटरव्यू याद आता है जब उन्होंने ये कहा था, मैं किसी को आंख दिखाऊंगा नहीं, लेकिन मैं किसी से आंख झुका के बात करूंगा नहीं. To reclaim our lost glory, he is doing everything what he can. और 9 साल में भारत ने जितने चेंजेस देखे हैं, I don't think that under any other prime minister we would have seen that in another 90 years also.
Finally, giving you the last comment, Guru Murthy ji, just a short point that I'll add and then I'll hand it over to you to close this. The most significant thing, apart from Bharat Mandapam and Natraj and Konak and Nalanda, the one significance that nobody has probably thought of, that the G20 in India happened around on 7th, 8th, 9th of September, just 2 days before 9/11, where the two buildings were brought down by the terrorists. And all I could think of was that had India remembered the 9/11 message of Vivekanand, Swami Vivekanand's 9/11 message, if it would have been remembered by US and by the world, those two towers would not have gone down. And today, by whatever, I'm sure it was not planned that way, but Modi ji का सहयोग भी ऐसा universal सहयोग होता है कि it happens in the same period when one Swami wearing a Bhagwa Chola had gone to United States, and today, after 130 years of that, India gave that message, Swasti Astu Vishwa, or it gives the message of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And today the world has yet another opportunity to discard that 9/11 of 2001 and accept this 9/11 that India gave in the form of Swami Vivekanand. With that, Guru Murthy ji, your final comments.
You see, I want to end on a positive note. When Narendra Modi is recalling the ancient Indian civilization which is rooted in our Vedas and our Upanishads, is he merely recalling the past glory? I would like to cite 5 Nobel laureates, what they have said about our Vedas and Upanishads. 5 Nobel Science laureates. There are 20 others who have said many things. I am only focusing on what they have said. After conversation about Indian philosophy, some of the ideas of quantum physics that seemed to be so crazy suddenly made much more sense. Werner Heisenberg, one of the greatest physicists on quantum physics, Nobel Prize winner. In a world, there is no kind of framework within which we can find consciousness in plural. This is simply sometimes we construct because of the temporal plurality of individuals, but it is a false construction. The only solution to this conflict, insofar as any is available for us at all in the world, it is the ancient Upanishad. Erwin Schrödinger, Nobel Prize winner. He again says that I go into Upanishads to ask questions. This is Niels Bohr, another Nobel laureate. Vedanta and Sankhya hold the key to the laws of mind and thought process, which are correlated to the quantum field, the operation and distribution of particles of atomic and molecular level. Brian Davis Josephson, the youngest Nobel laureate. I can quote many more. When Narendra Modi puts the Indian civilization at the center, he is not putting merely our past glory. This great literature, which evolved in the minds of great men at the highest levels of their consciousness, contains the answer to the questions which the modern science poses and for which there is no answer within the modern science. This is what Nobel laureates who have got prize for quantum physics, they have said. So when we are talking about Indian civilization, we are calling of the past or Vedas or the Upanishad, we are not glorifying India, we are not glorifying our past. We are actually putting an agenda to the world. Come on, look at it.
Thank you. With those wise and very, very sanguine words, let us end this first brilliant episode of Bharat Ka podcast. Thank you, Guru Murthy ji, for giving us even more time than you could promise. We know your busy schedule, but all we can tell you is look at this podcast. Do show it to friends from the India Alliance, and you'll realize that Sanatan and Hindu and its rise is actually a global good. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Keep watching. We'll be back next week with another edition of Bharat Ka podcast. Signing off till then, our Vineet, Sandeep, Guru Murthy ji and me. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Bharat Mata ki Jai. Thank you.